What's up, soul group? Today is going to be a special spirit talk. We're not going to do it live, we're going to do a recorded video. And this is going to be about the holy thugs. Tupac said he wondered if heaven had a ghetto. If heaven does have a ghetto, these guys are there. Trust and believe that. I was actually doing some research on how people were living in cemeteries in Venezuela. And I came across the holy thugs of Venezuela. And these are their ancestors, and their people have taken them to deityhood. They're a lower level deity, but I thought I'd just share a little bit of information because I thought this was the dopest shit ever. Like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta have balance. So I did think it was the dopest shit ever. So I shaded Papa Legba, and I'm not asking him to open the doors because these are spirits that they just came around. I just came across them, but I am giving a shade to them and a shade to the ancestors, a shade to all of our lineage that is of like a Spanish descent or Mexican or Puerto Rican or any of those, because you guys have the African heritage as well. And the Holy Thugs are also a part of African spirituality. This is where they get this from, but they have deified their ancestors, so I just wanted to drop a little knowledge on them and give them our shade. So this is going to be like the lowest hierarchy of Queen Maria Leonza. I want to make sure that I use the pronunciation right because these are Spanish names. And she is like their queen mother, their Yemaya. They're in Venezuela. Venezuela, I do apologize. And the Holy Thugs are going to be the lowest of the hierarchy. These people lived in the 1950s and the 1960s. And they were just dope, y'all. So it's the Corte Calais and the Corte Malandra, and that's the courts, and I believe that's the Pantheon as well. So these guys were like Hollywood type characters, and they were like Robin Hood. They were good thugs, and they would rob the rich and give to the poor, and they would steal food or money or food to buy money to buy food for other people in their village, and they never stole from people that they lived around. They helped their community and all of those things. So that's also dope. And let's see, what else information can I drop on y'all about them? They protect people during petty crimes. So people summons them for protection. So if you are like doing something illegal, you can summons them and they will protect you. All of the energy is ours because we own all of this. So I believe that they came across me because they knew that I would take an interest in it and I would put them out there so that they can be called upon. So you can call them for good or you can call them for bad. Let's see. They are a low light court, so they have to be placed on the floor. Their status is low, so when you work with these spirits, they have to be placed on the floor so you can work with them from below. These are flat out gangsters, guys, and I just think it's dope. People that are young are like selling weed because they have to feed their families, or out here selling drugs because they got to feed their family. And I don't condone it, but sometimes even if it's a female that has to be a prostitute so she can take care of her children, so she can, you know what I'm saying, make sure that she have a roof over her head, or whatever your situation is, they'll protect you. Parents call on them to protect their children from drugs and from prostitution and falling into that lifestyle. Or even if you have someone who is in a situation who needs some legal help, they can be summoned, they can be called upon. But make sure that your intent is good. You definitely want to make sure that your intent is good. So let's see. The guy's real name, he's known as Malandro Ishmael. And his real birth name was Carlos Ishmael, I want to say this right, Urbangia. 1 year after death was his first healing from cancer of a woman who actually knew him in person. And you guys can do your own research on YouTube and Google or whatever about this person. But a year after his death was his first sighting, and it was someone in his village that he knew, and she was dying of cancer, and she went to his grave and she bought him some rum and some cigarettes, the things that we give our ancestors to deify them and to make sure that they continue to have light and all of those things. She got him a white candle, and she asked him to help heal her, and he did that. He took care of his community, and then ever since then people have been using him for miracles or whatnot. And that's what your ancestors are for. That's what the energies are for. But he can be good or bad. So there's a whole gang of these people. My daughter's doing the camera, so forgive her if she's not on point. But there's a whole gang of these people. And they were a gang that you can call on. There was actually a black person too, from, I believe they said, I don't want to get it right. I mean, I don't want to get it wrong. I'm sorry. I don't want to get that wrong. I do believe that they said that he was from the United States of America, an eastern state. I don't want to tell you exactly where it is, but you can do your research on that. So there's the leader, who is Melandro Ishmael, and then he is also known as Ishmael Sanchez, but that's not his real name. Then you have, and I want to give out shade to all these spirits as they are being explained to you all. And then there's Lamandra Elizabeth, which is a woman who was his partner in crime. That is Melandro Ishmael's partner in crime, and she did all of his petty like thievery with him and all of that stuff. And El Paro Freddy, Machira, Petroleo Crudo, El Rotten, Isabelita, Tomasito, Miguelito, Lucito, Pedro, Johnny, Sarah, Luis Sanchez, Pez Gordo, Juan Halero, and William. So Ashe, 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 Ashe. So all of them, and those were the main people that were in his gang, and there's so many more that can be called on for good and bad deeds. So if you need to, I'm not telling you to rob a bank. I don't condone robbing a bank, but they do protect in situations like that. If you had to do some shit or whatever that you needed to do, whatever it is, that's not particularly favorable of the law, then you could call upon them. So I just thought that was super dope. And then you can also call on them if somebody's trying to kill you. They're gangsters. They'll take them out for you if you want them to. You know what I'm saying? And they'll protect you in dangerous situations. So they summons them to protect them in dangerous situations. I want y'all to look at how these people come and they just sit in the graveyard. They actually in Venezuela have his grave in there, and then all of his gang members are buried there as well. And these are their ancestors, you guys, which means there are ancestors because these people are from they're in the diaspora. They're there and they believe in all of it. They also use the Catholicism, like the saints, like Saint Expedite. They use those saints as well. So I thought that was dope. Let's see. I'm going to give you guys some more information on them. So they believe over there in Venezuela, when they deal with their ancestor holy thug spirits, that it doesn't matter what you do as long as you have protection, and that's correct. And they're there to protect. And I feel like these are good spirits. I would not allow them around me. Now, they all have their own, they all lived, they all were actual humans, and they did have their own personalities. And there was one, I forget which one it was, that they mentioned that really didn't have like a good, like he was kind of like devious because he always hid his weapon, but everybody else always showed his weapon, so you couldn't really trust him. You know what I'm saying? But that goes with any pantheon. You're always going to have that trickster spirit, like Alegua in that pantheon. But this is what's possible, and I wanted to show you guys that because I feel like we need to know that. Like when we look at other people and how they're not washed with Christianity or whatever, they have their Catholicism, they have their saints or whatever, but they're not really washed with it. They're very spiritual, and you see how their ancestors are able to continue to move on both sides for them and for themselves on both sides of the realm, because as you light your candles to them and you give them their cigarettes and you give them their rum, they're actually they're receiving the light, they're receiving the energy off of those items so they can continue to live. They're still living, you know? So I think that's dope. If you are in jail, you can contact Ishmael, which is Melandro Ishmael, the main one for freedom. People contact him. They're usually doing those illegal things, like I said. And you want that protection while you're out there doing those things. In dangerous situations, people have come out unharmed dealing with these spirits. So that's a good thing. And that's why I thought they was dope, because they're not, the thugs on the corner, they're not what society thinks who they are. It's hard out here. and they're trying to help, and they didn't steal from the people that they love. They didn't steal from their community. He was robbing meat trucks in the 1950s and 60s to feed his people, and bread trucks, robbing them. He would never kill anybody. Ishmael, that's what was said about him. And I didn't know these people personally, but what was said about him was that he would never kill anyone. He would just hands up. Nice watch. No, back then it wasn't a watch. It was actually food. I'm just saying. That's 2000s. I'm just throwing that in there. But if you believe in these energies and that they will protect you, and you out here and you got to live your hard life and you got to do what you got to do, if you light them a candle, then they will begin to speak to you. And that was the one thing that I picked up on. I haven't lit them a candle. I have not worked with these energies, so I don't want y'all to be like, oh, she said do this, she said do that. You are doing this. This is one man show, so you're operating at your own risk. You know what I'm saying? But I believe if you have a pure intent that these energies are not bad, because they were actually here while I was researching them, and they're here now because I can feel them. Can you feel them? They're not bad energies. But you just need to be on point, and that's what any energy that you deal with. The energies that you deal with, they have to be okay with your soul. And I feel like they deserve the ashe, and the reason why is because their peoples have already given it to them. They have came through for their peoples, and they're our ancestors. And the energy that they have will work for us. They want to be worked with, which is why they're coming across me, so that I can give you the information. And that's what they be wanting from me. So you can offer them cigarettes, you can offer them alcohol, you can offer them weed. People offer them drugs because they were gangsters. So you can offer them drugs. If you have a bottle of aniseed, I don't know how to pronounce that, but it's Aniseed.
Aniseed.
Yeah, if you have a bottle of that, that's what he drunk. That's Ishmael. That's what he drunk.
Aniseed.
You can also work with him for love and money. Give him some joints if you want some love or some money. White candles. They were all stoners. So if you do drugs, my daughter's sitting right here. She's sitting right here. But if you do drugs, then you would just give them some, and then you would like do some with them or whatever. If you don't do drugs, then you would just put it down on the floor where their statue is in front of them. And then they would get it that way. So there was a rumor that they dressed up in shorts and basketball caps and sunglasses like thugs. They like salsa music, guns, and they did drugs. They also responded to the African warrior drums because they are African descent. So you can play some salsa music in the African warrior drums if you want to invoke these energies. What else, guys? What else? Oh, yeah. So they said the people who knew Ishmael said he did not dress like that with the baseball cap and all of that stuff. They said he dressed like a regular person. But you know how as time goes on and the people, it's by ear, it's by word of mouth. The information, the knowledge is by word of mouth. The people get to, knowing that this is not how that person was. It really doesn't matter. But the whole point is the people that knew him said he did not wear like the sunglasses and the shorts. He was just dressed like a regular person. But they have statues of him in Venezuela with the baseball cap, the sunglasses, the gun hanging out, looking like a thug. So we have finally found the answer to the age-old question from Tupac. He wondered if heaven had a ghetto. I apologize. I said I apologize, yeah. So he wondered if heaven had a ghetto. The answer is yes.